scores here, and I would like a huge round of applause again for Director Kristian Mercado. Come on up.
Oh, wow. Hey, thank you, guys.
Do you have anyone you want to bring up?
Yeah, come on. Let's, is Angela here too? Yeah, there she is. Angela, Zoë, Mackie. Let's roll on up. You guys have fun?
Yeah!
You guys, you were feeling it. I was feeling it too. That was so fun.
Thanks, Mom.
Hello, testing. Hi.
Let's get the family close.
Check out the ways of freaking moved their track.
I love this movie so much. It was incredible when it came in. I had no idea what to expect, and it kept evolving as I was watching. And I'm curious how it came to be. Like, who got the ball rolling, and at what stage did you come on?
Oh yeah, and I mean the inception is definitely Angela. I mean she came through that. So yeah, maybe you should answer that a little bit of where the story came from. I mean I know that's deep, but you know,
That's
go for it.
That's so deep.
Oh goodness, that's a very good question. Where the story came from for me was wanting to write a rom-com and wanting to write it differently, how other people have. It's a tricky genre to get right. Hopefully,
Very different.
very different. Very different. But I had avoided it for a while because it just seemed too hard to tackle. But then my mom got sick and I was sad, and so I wanted to write something happy. And this was the script that I wrote at that time. And I think the bittersweetness sort of hopefully comes through in this story. So that's where it initially came from.
Yeah, and then like I spent a year reading Hollywood scripts, and I was like, damn, what? And then I read this one, I was like, oh, holy crap! Like I had like a visceral emotional reaction, and I was going through some stuff, you know. And I was like, man, I feel this, I feel it. It felt really good, like reading the words, and I was like, I could see it, and I feel like that feeling of losing something, I could feel it in it. So it just stood out a lot to me, and I wanted to be a part of it so badly, and I was like, talked to Andrew and the depth of field team, and I was like, yo, can I be part of this? I did a little test, I did like a little rocket ship test, and it had a vibe and a mood that I think evolved into what the texture of the film ended up being, you know? Like, I even look back at that test now and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Maybe one day I'll drop it, yo.
And for the actors, I mean, how did you guys come to it? I know this is probably just a standard answer if someone sent you the script, but like, what was your initial reaction? What was, particularly for meeting Kristian, who has his vibe is this movie, like incarnate in real life.
Vibes. I'm a trademark vibes.
Well, there's no one who loves love more than Chris. And he was the perfect person to helm such a beautiful script. Oh, I'm getting emotional. Don't do it. I actually read the script summer of 2020, 5 months into the pandemic, and it was such a gift to read this beautiful story, and I felt like its thoughts on isolation and abandonment and loss and
Don't do it. I'm gonna do the MC Hammer.
and resilience and joy, really spoke to me, and I feel like Jane and Adam were on this parallel journey with us. And I just wanted to be in this movie so badly, and then I didn't hear anything for 2 years. And I made like peace with being like, okay, the gift was to read the script, to know that this movie is out there, and I hope it gets made with or without me. And then my agent job, and then I got the call to be like, hey, do you want to meet Anthony Mackie on a Zoom, and I was like, yes.
Didn't go well.
Did not go well at all.
People don't like me.
And then I got to meet Chris, and yeah, it's a dream come true. I can't really believe that we got to make this movie. Mackie?
Love is real. And like when I read this script, first of all, shout out to my agent and manager. Shout out to them. Because they brought me this script. I went to him and I was like, yo, I want to do a love story. Like, I want to fucking fall in love, bitch. Like, literally, we had this conversation. You can talk to them. They're here. I said, I believe in love, bitch. True story. And they brought me this weird, awkward script, and they were like, you're so weird. We believe this is the way you love. And I read this script, and I was like, this is fucking love. This is, like, fuck it, I kissed the script. Boy, I love that script, right? And I had this adulterous affair with the script for 2 months. And then I was like, I want to do this movie. I love this movie. I made love to the script. I love this movie. Now I'm married to the script. And here we are. It was a process. We dated for a while.
Now, I've got a bunch of questions, but I will see if anyone out there has any before I keep rolling through. Oh, here we go, right in the middle.
I love the movie. It's excellent. For Angela, the conflict in most rom-coms is really terrible. So did you have this conflict in mind, like that they overcame, they worked through? Was this the first thing, or did you work to get this?
So I literally made a list of places I could get two people stuck together who wouldn't otherwise fall in love and have them sort of accidentally fall in love. One of the places was a spaceship, one was a jail cell. And I actually wrote that script too, but it's very different. So yeah, I wanted to create a situation where it wasn't that like someone messed up so bad or told a lie or did one of the kind of generic things, but it was more life getting in the way, right? And that felt more honest to me, so that's where that came from.
I find the film always is like kind of subverting tropes, and that was one of the reasons I loved it so much. And I think as a film, is constantly kind of subverting the trope, and you're not quite sure where it's going sometimes, and it keeps you on your toes, makes it exciting.
More questions? I saw another hand earlier.
Love is real.
No, we're gonna drop a love album after this.
Number one, yes, Maggie. Love is real. Love is real, brother. Kristian, what was your kind of inspiration for deciding to kind of put this in a really out of time place? Because you had, they had the little tape decks, for the technology, even though, but yet, Mackie then says, you like Eminem? So it's like, it's a beautiful moment of, it's a timeless kind of, aesthetic.
I like the tapestry of like pop culture, and I think like sometimes love is sharing like a tape, a song, sharing a movie, a film, sharing.
Follow Chris on Instagram, you'll get it. It's the most confusing thing you've ever.
Oh, it's chaotic. It's true. Follow me though. I need followers.
It's a great time.
But it is chaotic in there. Like, it'd be like, what's happening this week? But to answer your question, I like the tapestry of pop culture, and like I think that sometimes that's what love is sharing something. Like I imagine this, for me, one of the goals with this film is always like, I hope people fall in love watching it, or share it with people they love, or like have that first date, or you've been in a relationship for like, I don't know, 5 years, and you're like, yo baby, you wanna watch this? Like, and it's kind of like that, One of my favorite films is Say Anything, and that's a movie I could always watch with, if I watch that movie with you, I'm macking. I'm like, yo, what up, girl? You wanna see this movie?
I'm curious about the style because it's such a good blend of you faking their reality, like presenting to the audience what they are experiencing. And I'm curious, was that on the page? Was that Prep, how'd you come to that?
So on the page, there's like one line in the very beginning that says, "This isn't." You're like, it's like tinfoil stars, and it says, "This is a fantasy." And I love that line. That line hooked me so hard in the beginning of the script. And I was like, "Yeah, I like fantasies, bro." Like, and I think like it gave me a lot of permission to kind of, you know. It gave me a lot of permission to play and kind of almost, for me, the aesthetic is like kind of really cemented in this idea of trying to create an emotion. So whether it be the colors or the tangible feeling of the materials, because a lot of it is tangible. I always, like when I was talking about the film, when we were like trying to get it up and running, I would always say, "Oh, I remember when I was a kid, and I was in elementary school, I'm making a Valentine for somebody. I'm cutting out a paper heart out of cardboard, putting some glitter, you put your own writing in it." And it's like, man, you're like putting so much effort and you're being vulnerable and you're giving
still do
it to
that now,
somebody.
don't you?
I totally do, yeah. I would do that. I just did it on a massive scale. This is a crazy big ass Valentine. Biggest ass Valentine ever, dog. I'm a colorful guy, sorry.
Right here in the blue.
Well, I'm not trying to brag, but I studied with Benjamin Harkavy at the Juilliard. Several classes with Mikhail Kristian. So I don't know if you know him, but he's a Russian goddess.
What was the first part of the question?
She said we crushed the dance.
I heard amateur.
Not since Kid and Play have we seen dancing this good.
Benjamin Harkavy and Mikhail Baryshnikov.
I'm gonna pivot this question.
That's it. Bang bang.
Let's pivot
And
real
I'm a
quick.
great second line dancer.
Angela.
Yo, but what is the question? Sorry, what is the question?
Stomping. What?
Well,
I know too that the author did show that this dancing would really be the glue. At least it was for me at my age, and this is not this film is not my demographic.
It's for everybody.
Love is your demographic. You're all single.
Do you fall in love, lady? It's your movie. It is for you.
I did hope that. I mean, I wrote the dances into the script, wanting it to be a dance movie, you know, and have that really be a true part of it. Dirty Dancing is one of my favorites that
I watched Dirty Dancing like a bunch when I was like working on this too, and I kept referencing that, like those dance sequences actually, and boom, I dance too.
Here we go.
So I was like, I think from like reading it on the page, I like felt like, oh, their dance is a journey too, and sometimes it's telling you where they're at, you know. So, you know, whether you feel friendliness to like intimacy to tension to something else, you know, there's a little story in there. You could look at it, you'll follow it, you'll find it.
The choreographer did an amazing job.
Oh, yeah, shout out.
She's here.
Shout out to Maya.
Here.
Maya, there she is, and Diogo.
That's so cool.
They are the coolest.
That's cool.
And it was really cool because we got to work for a week and a half before we started shooting, and it was the best way to get to know each other too, because we are not professional dancers. We are not professional dancers, but he learns choreo really quickly.
It was fun to. I think that was one of the first times. No, I cried a bunch working on this, but I remember I saw the final dance in the studio, And that was a remarkable moment in my life where I was like, damn, I'm watching these two dance. And I like teared up, and I was like, this is gonna work.
All right, I think we got time for one last question. All right, way in the back. Yeah.
Hi. So I have 2 questions actually.
Oh, I like that.
Shit. We
Two.
Okay, this is
He was like, yo, last question, I got 2.
Yeah, it's smart.
What a badass.
I would really like to know how you work with your set designer to bring like the aesthetic of love and the fantasy aspect of the film.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of crazy glue?
I really want to know like how is it like tough to do that design?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And how was it for the actors like acting in a place of like this fantasy is like acting in a
These are good questions.
Chickens.
Yeah, I think like I always communicated to the team and any of the art department on every level, because there were so many people involved in that, you know, whether it be from even the post side and the stop motion and the set building, and it was kind of a monumentous task, you know. We are, you know, indie, so like I was like, but there was definitely like a little engine that could kind of energy to it. We were like pushing the whole time and trying to figure it out. And I think like it's definitely a cozy energy, right? Like it has like this feeling of warmth. It's supposed to feel kind of like a roomie's apartment in space energy, you know? And I thought that was always cool to cement it on that. And I really like art direction and strong aesthetics. So like and magical realism. So those things all guided it, but like you said, there was always like an emotional root behind it all, and trying to like build a world that felt like an emotion. And hopefully, it sounds like it came through. But how was it acting in that set, guys?
It was great.
It was amazing.
No, it was. We were the 30th production to get up during the time we were shooting in New Orleans, and our crew had such tremendous heart and were gritty and scrappy, and we luckily didn't get sick. I mean, it feels like such a I feel like making any movie is a miracle. You know, it takes so many people, and I just think it was really magical shooting in New Orleans.
Magical.
Fell in love with that city. He is the mayor of New Orleans.
Yes.
And it felt like we were protecting our crew. You know, it felt like we were all in it together. Just like Jane and Adam were in it together in their little bubble. And so it kind of mirrored the experience.
Hell yeah.
All right, well, I think we have to end it on that, but
Thank you so much. Tell your friends, tell your families, fill up don't do it.
yeah, remember to vote right here. These are the instructions. Pull out your phone.
Oh yeah, go vote right
And
now.
vote right now.
Thank you so much.